It's that time again. We're down to 2 women now in the race for Ari's heart on The Bachelor after last night's Fantasy Suites episode.
Yeah, I'm still listening to Justin Bieber in my ear. So we didn't recap hometown dates last week because Landon Hoff was on assignment, but he's back with the dudes recap of The Bachelor. He joins us live now from the Social Media Center. Good to have you, Landon. So just to clarify here, we had an ex-boyfriend show up in Peru just last night to try and win back his girl. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that, Landon.
Yeah, well, pardon me if I'm at a loss for words with that old school Bieber. You guys really caught me off guard with that. But yeah, so we're supposed to believe this is a surprise visit from this guy named Ross. But here's what has to transpire for him to go to Peru. So he's got to figure out that his girl is on The Bachelor. He's got to find out where in Peru, which is 496,000 square miles, where she's staying in Peru. He's then got to book a flight from California to Peru, which on short notice looks like it's at least $639. And then he's got to go drive 5 hours to get to the resort. He's got to get clearance from the cast and crew to go talk to not only Becca but also Ari. So man, I just cannot believe that he would have pulled this off without some serious help from the producers. So ABC, I'm calling you out on this one. I don't think that was a surprise visit.
I have a hard time believing that any of the things on these shows are truly a surprise.
Yes.
But this does bring up an interesting question from a guy's standpoint. So I want to know where you stand on this as well, Landon. You also have to count on the fact that she's going to receive you the right way if you show up. So if you're Ross, do you make that trip?
Well, I'm going to start by saying this because my wife is probably watching. I think it would be worth walking to Peru for my wife. So let's get that on the record first.
Well done, Landon.
We're journalists. But I'm going to be honest. In this situation, if I'm Ross, I'd probably try like a phone call or a text maybe. Because, man, like you said, that's a pretty big gamble. And if you need a tiebreaker, the fact that he works as a strength and conditioning coach for Stanford University, I would imagine that he's going to pretty much relentlessly hear it from the 18 to 22-year-olds who are on the football team that he coaches for that appearance on national television. So I'm going to have to say I would not have pulled a Ross in this situation.
You would not. But we give him credit for doing it because, wow, that is quite the journey to take for love.
Quite a surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Okay, so let's talk about the fantasy suites now. That's where all the action's supposed to happen on the show, right? We know Ari's history. He's pretty much the kissing bandit. That's what we call him. That's what other people call him, at least. So did this week's episode surprise you at all as far as the action that actually went down?
Well, I'm going to say it didn't quite live up to, I guess, the expectations. You mentioned Ari's history as the kissing bandit. So going into it, I was honestly, the show gets kind of uncomfortable, so I was really worried about fantasy suites getting out of control. But I'm going to be honest with you, there was hardly any talk of the R-rated activities. And you mentioned not living up to expectations. You'll see here in a second Becca's fantasy suite. Here's Kendall. She gets this luxurious, sprawling suite. This is Lauren's with a plunge pool in the room. And then Becca's, who I think you'll see here in just a second, gets this tent at the base of a sand dune in the middle of the desert. I mean, there's probably not more than a double bed in here. Obviously, it doesn't stop them from kissing. Gross. But the biggest concern there, I don't think there's a bathroom in sight for that fantasy suite. So I don't know, not exactly a fantasy there in that canvas tent in the middle of the desert if you're Becca.
So
bathrooms are a necessity.
We're supposed to believe then that the tent is supposed to get your heart racing and everything flowing better than a fancy hotel. Is that pretty much the
It looked like it was working,
right?
Though.
Look, I've never heard of like copious amounts of sand being an aphrodisiac, but hey, I'm no expert. I don't know.
Hey, real quickly, we've got a Dallas lady in the final 2. Do you like Lauren's chances here, Landon? You've been watching this the whole way.
Thanks for making that clear, Jason. Yes, I've been watching it. Lauren confuses me. You know, to this point, I think she said a grand total of about 19 words. Maybe she's a victim of some editing tricks. I'm not sure. I probably would have bailed at this point with the amount of silence that we've seen between Ari and Lauren. But hey, she's from Dallas, so we'll pull for her, and I'm sure it'll be a dramatic season finale. We'll see how she does.
All right, we're rooting for her. Thank you as always, Landon. Much appreciated.
You bet.